So good morning from Nairobi. If you're joining in on LinkedIn or YouTube, Twitter and Facebook, my name is Philip Odhiambo Ogola, the digital humanitarian. And today I just want to, first of all, to talk to parents out there. If you're a parent who has a child in the neurodiverse spectrum, I'm a living testimony that everything can be achieved by a child who dreams, And I also want to announce that I have ADHD and I have dyslexia. And both disorders don't define me. So if you're out there and you've been diagnosed with ADHD, if you're out there and been diagnosed with dyslexia, don't let them define you. Don't let the labeling and humiliation stop you from just thinking differently. I've lived a life of looking to be understood. I've lived a life where I struggled being misunderstood, but I've finally accepted and processed that I will be misunderstood because we all think differently. And it's by God's grace that I've reached where I've reached right now. So today I just want to speak to parents out there. ADHD and dyslexia are something I've grappled with without knowing. Today I can proudly say that I have finally connected with my 46-year-old twin. And my 46-year-old twin is called Odhiambo. Odhiambo is that boy who I neglected. Odhiambo is that boy who I muffled. Odhiambo is that boy who I hid from people. Odhiambo is that boy who was a people pleaser. One of the biggest challenges I've been having is pleasing people because, when you're able differently and you tend to please people to avoid trauma, you tend to please people to fit in a box, you tend to please people to be accepted in a culture where people judge you based on your academic progression, people judge you based on your career, progression. And I'm someone who has no formal education, and this is something which most of my friends don't believe, that I have no formal education. And you find that we live in a society where we judge people based on how they talk or how they speak or how they present themselves. And we are all skilled differently. And today I'm actually proud to say that despite having no college education, I have advised government, I've advised the UN, I've advised the Red Cross, I've advised emergency response in the country. I've been in charge of the COVID communications task force. And after being diagnosed, I actually said that I will never keep quiet. I will speak and raise awareness. And if there's a community that has really anchored me, is the neurodiverse community. The neurodiverse community is very helpful community where people share their testimonials, people share their challenges, people share their struggles, and you tend to relate with your struggles. In Kenya here, getting a community that talks about ADHD or dyslexia, it's really hard. There's so much stigma, there's so much humiliation, there's so much shaming. It takes courage to do this. It takes courage to speak out. From today, I'll be hosting my live shows every day. And I have guests already lined up where we'll be discussing just issues about life. We live in a society where we judge each other. We live in a society where we don't compliment each other. We live in a society where we don't look upon each other. We live in a society where we are stuck in our past. And for me, my past does not define me. I've slept in brothels. I've been a drunkard. I've been homeless. I've slept in the streets. I've become an alcoholic. But those things don't define me. And I really wanted to finally speak what I've been grappling with. I really want to speak finally, because if I'm able to advise government on various levels, if I'm able to advise the UN in various levels, if I'm able to advise the East African community in various levels, if I'm able to advise a presidential campaign, it means I can speak. And I want to speak because I want to be a voice to many. I want to be a voice to many people who don't have the courage to speak. I was recently appointed as in the Kenya Tissue and Transplant Authority as in the advisory board. And you know, when you finally accept who you are, and you present, tell people, hey, I have dyslexia, I have ADHD, and people are still like, we want to work with you because you like how you think. You think differently. So finally, brands are accepting me for who I am, and I will not hide it. Dyslexia does not define me. Dyslexia does not make me different. So today, I just want to begin live discussions, and I have speakers lined up, and every day going forward, I'll have a morning show, and I will be posting the schedules of the show tonight. And I really want to speak about mental health. And I really want to speak about gender-based violence. I really want to speak about parenting in digital age. I really want to speak how people in the neurodiverse spectrum grapple with that, with suicidal ideation. Most my family thinks I'm suicidal. My family thinks I'm a psycho. My family thinks I'm someone who doesn't know what he's doing. But I can't blame them. For me, the biggest challenge to mental health is ignorance. The more we keep quiet, the more we are not educating our families. The more we keep quiet, the more we suffer in silence. The more we keep quiet, we will never get to understand what people grapple with. My therapist, Dr. Pauline Nganga, she always tells me that, hey, you are able differently, and people like you, and she gives me examples of Bill Gates, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, who else? Will Smith, Richard Branson. But I keep asking, where are the African dyslexics? Where are the Kenyan stories? What is the invention? So I really want to come out and just speak for so many disabled people. I want to speak for my community. I want to speak for people who have no voice, who are ashamed, who are drunkards, who are alcoholics, who are drug addicts, who are prostitutes, who are grappling suicidal ideations, because we never get a chance to speak. 16 days of GBV is actually going on right now. And for me, I'm looking at discussing GBV from an emotional perspective. Do we look at GBV from a parental perspective? As parents, what kind of values are we radiating to our kids? As parents, what kind of energy are we and examples are we showing our kids? If you're a parent and you keep fighting, the kids will pick that energy. If you're a parent that keeps normalize fighting in the house, hurling insults, that kid will actually grow up in that environment. If you're a parent who strip dignity of each other, that kid will grow in that environment. So we find that kids tend to mimic or ape what kind of energy they are exposed to, the kind of society they grow up into. And some of these GBV incidents are as a result of alcohol. And alcohol is as a result of mental illness. So until we discuss mental illness from a solutions perspective, and for me, I'm really lucky to have been diagnosed in my 40s. And when I got diagnosed, I finally got to look at myself as a boy. So I want to speak as a 46-year-old boy. I want to speak as that 46-year-old boy who has been misunderstood. And I'm finally understanding myself that I now understand why I like cartoons. I now understand why I like kid plays, why I just like being a clown. And for me, if I had a chance in another life, I'll become a clown, because that's what I enjoy. That's when I feel I'm me. And I really want to talk about my journey. And so every day I will be hosting a guest and we'll discuss about my journey. My journey has been a struggle. My journey has been punctuated with trauma, suicidal ideations, where you do not know what's bothering you. When you have ADHD and dyslexia, it's like your brain is constantly on super turbo charge, where you have energy, you look at things differently. I grew up knowing that everybody thinks like me. I grew up knowing that everybody is like me. I've discovered no, we're all different. So I really want to come out for the first time and actually start speaking on issues of public concern. Yesterday, I saw in the news that students in Kerugoya, about 12,000 students high school students in Kerugoya had STDs. The other day, I also saw the DCI posting about a student who was arrested, a male student who was arrested in a girls' school. So these two incidents, and when you look at social media, it tells you these teenagers are having sex. They're having sex. Let's admit it. The current generation is more vocal than us. The current generation has more access to information. They understand more about their sexuality than us. They understand more about their mental health than us. So as parents, are we listening to the emerging trends? Our kids are having sex, and they're having sex without knowing. There's nothing as wrong as doing something without doing something wrongly. You arrest a student with 3 condoms in a school, it means sex has been happening. You arrest the boy, you leave the girl. The girl will move to another boy. Are we looking at these patterns? We see kids having sex in school buses. Let's go back. Each one of us go back in time and look at yourself. Were you perfect? So until we get in touch with our past, we can't dictate our future. And our past doesn't define us. Let's give schools sex education. Sex, reproductive health is a conversation we need to have from the family foundation first. As parents, do we discuss sex with our kids? As parents, do we discuss issues of mental health with our kids? So I really want to discuss issues of public concern from a dyslexic perspective. I want to speak my mind and just start explaining issues. If I've been able to advise government in various levels, the UN, the Red Cross, the emergency response, the GBV sector, the digital space, the media. If I got to become in charge of the Westgate digital response, if I got in charge of the DUCIT digital response, if I was in charge of the COVID pandemic digital response, it means I can speak on issues of concern. By me keeping quiet, I'm part of the problem. By me keeping quiet, I'm not part of the solution. So I am speaking up right now because I want to raise awareness of how dyslexic kids think. I want to raise awareness of how people with ADHD present themselves. And this is me. This is what you see as digital humanitarian, that is ADHD. What you see as digital humanitarian, that is dyslexia. And that's how I present myself. That is me. That is who I am. I've finally accepted that I will not be ashamed of who I am. I will not be embarrassed of who I am. I will not be embarrassed of how I think. For me, I think it's a gift, and it's a blessing where you see things people don't see. You read emotions in people. You see people's pain. You see people's trauma. You see people's tears, and you see hope. When I look at people, I see stories. Everything I look around me is a story, and that's how I think in 360. I'm always constantly. I'm like, okay. If I look at a building, I want to know who built it, when was it built, who was the construction workers, everybody who worked on it, and who has ever lived there. That's how my brain works. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Twitter, my name is Philip Odhiambo Ogola, and I have dyslexia and ADHD, and they don't define me. Digital Humanitarian was powered by dyslexia. Digital Humanitarian was powered by ADHD. The solutions I have incubated in Kenya have helped save so many lives. The solution I've helped incubated in partnership with so many actors in government, in the UN, in the Red Cross, NGOs, academia, human rights, East African communities, has really helped me a lot in terms of coping. At times, we live in a generation where we struggle with self-hate, we struggle with stigma from being humiliated. But at times, you just need to find a tribe which believes in you. At times, you just need to find a tribe that believes in you. And once we start accommodating persons with mental illness, we will discover their gifts. And I really want to raise awareness around alcohol addiction. I've been an alcoholic before, and I know how it can ruin your relationships, and I know how alcohol can ruin your health. I almost died with a kidney complication because of alcohol. So today I just want to begin a journey where I'll speak my mind. I will be hosting regular shows. I've finally accepted that I fall in the neurodiverse spectrum. I think differently. I can't help it, So I will be raising awareness of my challenges, my symptoms, of how I struggle with ADHD and how I cope and how I've been able to navigate my way around the employment, the consultancy spectrum with no papers. I have no papers. I have no college education. I have no university education. But that does not define me. I'm finally going back to university because I want to fulfill that boy's dream. I want to fulfill Odhiambo's dream. And Odhiambo is a boy who I want to speak to you. Odhiambo is that boy who I just want him to heal. Odhiambo is that boy who I want him to find purpose. So my 15 minutes are over, and these are my daily 15 minutes I'll be giving you every day. So let's keep talking. And once again, dyslexia does not define me. ADHD does not define me. It's a gift. Good day.